It is 9 a.m. on Tuesday, March 21st. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Looks like we have a pretty robust agenda here today. We'll kick things off with the approval of the minutes from the March 7th meeting. Is there any modifications? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adopt those minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thank you. So I'll, for the record, this is page 12 of 17, 12 of 13, or page 16 on the county board minutes. It's referenced three different ways there, but under committee minutes, we talk about a recommendation of the Feb 8, 2023 Personnel Committee. And what should be added, what I said was in that first paragraph, it'd be good after, toward the bottom, a sentence ends with 2021 and this starts out as he. What could be put in there is elected officials, often outside of boardrooms, say that they are going to hold the line and tap the brakes on spending, and I'm going to do that with this request in the boardroom. And then the rest can stand as is.
And I'm going to, after the meeting, Commissioner Catchmark, if you would meet up with administration just so we get the proper language in that when they formalize it, but we can accommodate that language.
Thank you. And then the next one would be, I'll just go by the bold print, page 8 on the bottom. It's under Finance, Taxpayer Services, letter B. I'm just going to clarify some of the numbers on the last paragraph where we're talking about the dental clinic. And Finance can correct me if I'm wrong with this, but the second sentence says, he said since the county had given the clinic, that should be 1.6 million and discounted rent. And then the next sentence is that we're still waiting for the bonding for 1.4 million. And then the last sentence should end with, Ketchmark said he's not willing to give another $200,000. Somebody added until there is accountability for the money that's been given. I didn't say that, so I would say omit that. That's all I had on that. I'll pause unless someone else
And
has.
then, once again, for just to help aid administration in getting the minutes to reflect what you would like, I'm okay with the addition of those, but please meet with administration afterwards just to make sure that they get it articulated correctly for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Then I will make a motion to approve the board minutes from March 7th with those couple changes.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Dietrich. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved unanimously. There's three sets of minutes here. There's the Ditch Committee of the Whole from March 7th. There's the County Board Workshop on March 14th and the Ways and Means on March 15th. We'll discuss the recommendations at a later portion in the meeting, but at this time, we'd like to make an approval on the minutes. We can do them collectively or individually.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve the ditch committee minutes of the whole, if no one else had any changes. I do have some changes, that's why I'm parting it out for the second meeting.
No problem.
Okay.
We have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark for the Ditch Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved unanimously. Workshop and Ways and Means Committee minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I could, correction on the workshop from 314. Under Roman numeral 5, we're talking about the ERP analysis approach. I had asked the question of Administrator Wilford, if we're looking at granting more access with this item here to the ERP system, and if we are able to draw different lines and have different exceptions, and if that was the intent. And Administrator Wilford said that we were actually looking at granting less access with what this discussion included. So that was one item. And That was it. I'll pause for a second unless someone has something else on that. Then I'll make a motion to approve the county board workshop minutes from 3:14 with that one addition.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark to approve the county board workshop minutes with said modifications.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Shane. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Perfect. The last one would be the Ways and Means Committee minutes.
I'll make a motion that we accept those minutes.
We have a motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Shane. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. The minutes from the Ways and Means Committee on March 15th are approved unanimously. Today's agenda, is there any additions or corrections to today's agenda? I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, the agenda is approved unanimously. Coming to today's consent agenda, I'm going to pull off Projects Administration F1 just for a quick modification to some language that was changed here between now and Friday on that. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the F1 pulled.
All right.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Shane for the approval of today's consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. F1, we've been working with administration, projects, and the attorney's office on some language here to aid the sale of the HSC, and we need some additional information for that to proceed. I'm going to turn over to the attorney's office here.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. We're looking at just a minor amendment here to F1, looking at striking about 6 words in it, and I'll read how we're going to try to word this. It'd be authorized staff to develop and sign agreements with contractors and consultants to take and test samples of structural steel in the Human Services Center. The agreements will include the requirement to repair areas where samples are extracted. We're no longer going to be contracting with Riverside Church in this effort. It'll be the county and its entity going out and contracting with the contractors directly. So that's the main change.
It makes it cleaner from a liability
It does.
perspective.
Yep. That way we're altering our building, not allowing someone else to come in and alter our building. So,
All right. With that, that was just a clarification. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of that.
So moved.
All right, motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right, now moving on to the timed agenda items. We have the, Virgil Hawkins is in here. He saved up a lot of things to discuss all at one time here.
Certainly did. Good morning, Mr. Chair, board members. Today, there's 5 highway items for your consideration. And the first item is requesting final acceptance and authorizing final payment to Knife River for the 2022 pavement preservation contract. The final payment voucher, certificate of performance, and resolution of final acceptance is in your board packets.
So at this time, I'll look for a motion to approve the resolution for final acceptance of contract 22-01 and authorize the payment of $97,245.62 to Knife River Corporation.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Dietrich. This is a discussion. Hearing no discussion, this is a resolution. Commissioner Catchmark?
Aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimously.
Okay, the second item is requesting award of the 2023 pavement preservation contract to Knife River. We received 2 bids on March 7th. The bid abstract is included in the board packet. The low bid was by Knife River, and it came in about 1% below our estimate. So we recommend awarding the bid and the base bid and the alternate. There was a Parks alternate for Otsego paving of a trail in the amount of $8,855,600 $1,034.20.
All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to award contract 2301 for the 2023 pavement preservation contract to Knife River Corporation.
I'll go ahead and make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Shane,
Go ahead.
a second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Contract is approved unanimously.
Okay, thank you. The third item today for Highway is requesting award of the 2023 seal coating contract to Pearson Brothers of Hanover. We opened bids Tuesday, March 7th. We received 3 bids. Pearson was the low in the amount of $527,243.65, which was 13.5% under our estimate.
That was a great, nice bid. Nice
Yeah,
to
it
see.
was.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to award contract 2302 for the 2023 seal coat contract to Pearson Brothers of Hanover, Minnesota.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Catchmark,
Second.
second by Commissioner Shane. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right.
Okay, thank you. The fourth item today is requesting approval of the Transportation Committee meeting minutes that was held February 21st. The copy is in the board packets. In addition to that, we're requesting approval of a revised 5-year map and plan that things have changed in the last month. We found out some new information. And those items are, we swapped the years of the 25 and 83 roundabout project will now be in 24 instead of 23. And the 83 and Braddock Avenue roundabout will be in 23 instead of 24. We added a safety grant award that we received for a roundabout at Highway 35 and 8, and that's in 2025. And then we added a pavement preservation project for Highway 17 in 2024, south of Delano due to its condition. We deleted a portion of the 35 pavement preservation that was scheduled for 2024, and that'll be done at a future time. And we added a couple pavement preservation projects for 2025 and 2027. We understand this, 5-year plan's a moving, living, breathing document, and these changes, we thought if we're going to make changes, let's get them all in there that we have currently, and these have come up since we met. And with that, I can go through the minutes a little bit and summarize the items of the transportation minutes, if you'd
Sure,
like.
if you want to make a quick overview.
Okay, we met in this room on February 21st, Transportation Committee minutes meeting, and the first item we talked about was reviewed the local option sales tax projects in the program, and that was some background given and gave an idea of what we're looking at for estimated revenue and estimated expenses over the next 5 years. And this item was a informational item. There's really no board action that was taken with that. The next item was to recommend updates to the 5-year construction plan, which there were several that we talked about at the meeting. And the consensus of the committee was to approve the updated 5-year construction plan and map. And then the next item was to review an analysis of Highway 39 and County Highway 111 and 11 intersection. And that coincided with a project we have upcoming in 2025, a preservation project with intersection improvements along 39, which included that intersection. And the consensus of the committee was to follow the highway staff recommendations and construct dedicated left and right turn lanes for those intersections along Highway 39 in 2025. And then the last item we talked about at the transportation meeting that day was a update on the Braddock Avenue and 148 realignment. And this was an informational item just to show what we're planning with that realignment and roundabout at Braddock and 148.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thanks, Virgil, for summarizing what we talked about last month with all the meetings in between. It's good to have that review. Are we voting today, or is this just, I think we're at the point where would tell you to go with the work at Braddock and 138, former 138, for that, the land purchase part and that roundabout, is that in here for approval today?
Yeah,
Commissioner Catchmark, the purchase one was already approved.
Okay,
So that part's already,
that's done.
that's done.
Okay, how about the roundabout piece there and at the 138 or 83 and 25? Is that in here?
yes, it is. So with the new information since the meeting, we're showing that the Braddock Avenue realignment and the roundabout at 83, which was 138 previously, that would be done later this year instead of 2024. And conversely, the roundabout at 25 and 83 will be done next year, not this year. So that's part of the updated map.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, if the board's open to it, I'd be for the whole project except for those two roundabouts. If we're able to separate and do separate motions on those two, I'm gonna vote differently than
So,
with the rest of it.
Commissioner Catchmark, just so you understand that at this point, the vote isn't on the engineering, the vote is on the timing of the projects. So at this point, you're deciding whether they happen in 2023, 2024. But if you want to vote against it, that's fine. You're voting against the timing, not whether it's a roundabout or not, or whether that property is done to those engineering specs or not. That isn't what you're voting on.
Okay, I guess it's too, I already voted against the concept of putting them there in the first place, but we're past that then, and this is the engineering and the scheduling of.
Yep.
Okay, all right, got it. All right, well, I stayed on the hill by myself when I needed to then, and we'll go from there. So, okay, we'll leave it as the package then.
No problem. So with that, looking for an entertaining, a motion to approve the Transportation Committee of the whole minutes from February 21st and the recommendations and the updated 5-year transportation plan.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
Second.
second by Commissioner Shane. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes and recommendations are approved unanimously.
Okay, thank you. The last item before the board this morning is the Highway Department is recommending rejecting the one bid we received for our pavement markings contract. We opened bids on March 7th, and we only received one bid. And since it felt like it was a non-competitive bid, and the bid was pretty significantly higher than our estimate, we're recommending rejecting that bid and then rebidding to open bids April 11th. And we reached out to some other pavement marking contractors. And Wright County was in a unique situation. We always had two bidders that were very competitive, Traffic Marking Services, AAA Striping. And over the years, this newer company, Sir Lines-A-Lot, has bought out those companies. And we didn't even know that TMS had been bought out because they bid a job recently in another county in late January. So for those reasons, we'd like to have the board reject this bid that we received, and we'll rebid and bring those bids back at a future date.
All right. At this time, I look for a motion to reject the revised 2023 pavement marking contract 2301 and authorize rebidding to the contract at a later date of April 11th at 10 a.m. 2023.
I'll go ahead and make,
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and make that motion, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Catchmark. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very
Yeah,
much, Virgil.
Thank you.
Chairman, can I ask Virgil? I was at the Albertville City Council meeting last night, and they're putting a light now on 30 or 54th, I think. So now I'm gonna have 8 lights just to get into St. Michael.
A street light or a signal
Yes,
traffic? signal?
it's a traffic light.
Oh.
It's where they're putting those new apartments in on 19.
Oh, right, yeah, that's a.
So the
cooperative
question did
project.
come up from the mayor, is there any way any of those could be made into a roundabout? And I said I would be all for that. So,
Well, for that particular case, no, that ship has sailed, it's gonna be a
but we were
signal.
wondering, is there like 50th by the schools there? Would that ever be a roundabout on 19? And,
Potentially,
yeah, that would be a good one.
yeah.
But-
Like roundabouts.
Yeah, I did mention that at the meeting last night. that
They're the
Virgil does
safest
like
form of
roundabouts.
intersection control, they really are.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. Steve, you're already up here. Great. Got the resolution to proclaiming March 19th through the 25th as National Surveyors Week.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the board. In your packet is a resolution if you choose to go forth. I'm here to request that the Wright County Board of Commissioners recognize March 19th through 25th, 2023 as National Surveyors Week in Wright County. National Surveyors Week is an annual campaign to raise public awareness of the valuable work land surveyors do every day. We'll have an open house later today from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock for people to stop by our office and check out some of our equipment and exhibits. Surveyor staff will be available to answer questions as well. So you are all invited. I hope you show up if you can find time in or out of that time frame. It's always nice. And like I say, in the packet is a resolution if you choose to go forth. You want me to read the resolution? Or would somebody else like to read the resolution?
You want to read it, Steve?
No, I can. Yes, thank you. Whereas land surveyors have played a vital role in shaping the boundaries of our cities, county, state, and country, and whereas these dedicated professionals continue to survey our land and provide the framework for advancing infrastructure throughout the state of Minnesota, and whereas there are more than 45,000 professional land surveyors in the United States who have gained accreditation through a combination of education and experience in the classroom, field, office. And whereas today land surveying is utilized in engineering, aircraft navigation, and mapping, and whereas professional land surveyors provide important services using sophisticated equipment and techniques, including satellite-borne remote sensing devices and automated positioning, measuring, recording, and plotting equipment. And whereas established in 1953, the Minnesota Society of Professional Surveyors is celebrating its 70th year of promoting surveying excellence in the state of Minnesota through education programs, scholarships, and more than 500 dedicated members of the surveying profession. And whereas Minnesotans are encouraged to recognize the dedicated service of professional land surveyors and the important work they do for our communities and state, and to reflect on the historical contribution of surveying and the new technologies they are constantly modernizing their honored profession. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the Wright County Board of Commissioners, do hereby acknowledge the week of March 19 through 25, 2023, as National Surveyors Week in Wright County. With that, I ask that you adopt this resolution.
Thank you. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll
So
make
moved.
that motion. I'll second
All
that.
right, we have a motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland to proclaim March 19th through 25th as National Surveyors Week in Wright County.
Thank-
Resolution, Commissioner Shane?
Aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimously.
And whereas I got through all that, therefore be resolved that I thank you very much, and feel free to stop by. It's
Yeah.
open to all the county staff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank your staff, too.
We still have 7 more minutes before the public hearing. I think we can quickly get through our timed D item, or we can do items for consideration, but I suppose we should wait for our timed item on that. So items for consideration, one would be a quick one here was item A1, adopt a resolution authorizing Wright County staff to execute all necessary documents to ensure Wright County participation in the multi-state settlement relating to the opioid supply chain participants and in the Minnesota Opioid State Subdivision Memorandum of Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you recall, a while back, you did adopt a resolution and authorize signatures on an agreement for the opioid settlement. The national administrator is now asking us to come back and sign a second revision that's been worked out at the national level, both for Minnesota. League of Minnesota Cities, Association of Minnesota Counties, and the Attorney General worked on that. So what's in front of you today is both authorizing signatures on that amended piece of the contract as well as a resolution to adopt, which is in your packet. So any questions on that? State of Minnesota received $1.9 million, which is then going to be distributed 25% to a state abatement fund, 75% to local abatement funds, which is then broken down. The portion that'll come to the county is about $25,000.
So with this, entertain any questions, otherwise I'll be looking for a motion to authorize that resolution, giving staff the ability to execute those documents. Oh, you, come on forward, Jamie, sorry, or Sarah.
My understanding is where the settlements are for 5 additional Teva, Allergan, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens. The state's receiving $235 million over 15 years. Wright County's portion will after the 75%, 25% split between state and county would be approximately $3 million, assuming we achieve global peace. So a little bit more, if that's all right. Thank you.
Which would be nice to be able to see this moving forward. This is kind of an ongoing piece on the settlement with all these different players involved. Is there any questions that board members have regarding this? I'm guessing that just before, when and if this stuff all moves and materializes, it'll be kind of all recommended back to the opioid council for allocation.
Yes, we can have that discussion if it needs to be had, but that was our plan.
So I have a motion to authorize staff to execute those necessary documents.
I'll make the motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? This is a resolution to authorize Wright County staff to execute all necessary documents for the Wright County participation in the multi-state settlement relating to the opioid supply chain. I'll start off the resolution. Aye.
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 Resolution passes unanimously. All right, we are at 9:26. I think we could really quickly get through the ditch committee, the whole recommendations, because there was they're very short recommendation. And the recommendation was to hold a public hearing for the Joint Ditch Authority of Wright County, McLeod, and Meeker counties, acting as a drainage authority for Joint Ditch 15 at 10 a.m. on Monday, April 17th, 2023. So I will entertain a motion to approve that recommendation from the ditch committee.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are still 3 minutes to go. I don't know if we can quite get through. We can try and get through the workshop recommendations real quickly here. There was a schedule a meetings as needing. One would be a retreat / county board vision mission discussion on May 1st and May 4th. There was a legislative update to authorize signatures on an I-94 coalition letter of support. There was the informational item from the ARP. Then there was the recommendation for the fiscal policies overview was to bring forward fiscal policy recommendations to a future board meeting for discussion and adoption. Then there was the item number 4, the ERP analysis approach, and complete an ERP analysis as proposed, which will go to projects administration to do. We had a brief discussion on mileage reimbursement. That one will be was tabled out to a discussion later on in the year. Item number 6 was in expectations for determining fees. The recommendation was to have administration create a fee schedule review process, including a timeline and a review over upcoming budget years and analysis and justification using the primary factors of citizen impact versus cost recovery. So more will come with that as a time schedule comes forward and a formal formula or guidance on how the department heads come up with their fee schedule will be brought to the board at a later date. And the last one was a HHS presentation on the 2023 Wright County Homeless Report, something that is done annually here in the county and throughout the state. And then the recommendation was to oppose the Senate bill and work out solutions to get better shelter in Wright County, utilizing, and I'm extrapolating here, nonprofits, religious institutions, and other existing institutions. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the workshop recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
And then can we address the first item of scheduling that meeting for the retreat between May 1 and 4?
Sure.
Just to make sure we got it on everybody's calendars, we're on the same page. I know we had talked about Monday the 1st, also talked about the 4th, given that Tuesday's the 2nd. Does Monday the 4th work for everyone?
Monday the 1st.
Under the
Monday the
first.
1st, my apologies. Thank you. Too many dates flying around.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good.
What time?
Probably do a 9 o'clock for about 4 hours.
All right.
Works.
So the sooner you can get me an Outlook invite, the better you are.
I've learned that, yes.
All right. We have, with that, we have I look for a motion to set the retreat with the county board on May 1st at 9 a.m. Location the same here in the building. What are we doing?
I think we can do that, yeah.
Here? All right. Or the same as, all right. I'll look for a location to be determined and posted. All right. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Holland. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right.
Thank you.
Scheduled the meeting is scheduled unanimously. All right, coming back here to the timed items for the public hearing regarding the modifications to the fee schedule. At this time, Matthijs, you gonna kick it off for me?
Sure.
All right.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Typically, we try to do fee schedules as part of the budgeting process and try to avoid mid-year fee schedule adjustments. However, there's been a few that have come to our attention, so we have sent out notices to all the departments based on that, and in front of you on the public hearing was placed in the Delano paper, the official paper, as well as online. There are a small cleanup with the dangerous dog program, moving the registration fee from the sheriff's department to administration. There's no increase in cost, it's just kind of cleaning that up since all that is falling under us. Increasing the cost of county inmate boarding fees for Gen Pop from $55 a day to $75 a day. Other county special housing and boarding fees from $100 a day to $150 a day. Compost and recycling, establishing a fee for gas refrigerators under 4 feet that are typically RV fridges, and we've never had that in the fee schedule, so it's costs us about $150 to have them transported out. And then finance and taxpayer services to initiate a fee of 100. I think the application fee is $200, and right now, so we collect that for getting the permit done. They're requesting a denial fee of $100 or 50% of the application fee because it takes staff time to do that. So those are the fee schedules that's in front of you that have been put out for public notice. I did not receive any public comment, written and or phone calls on said proposals.
Thank you, Administrator Matthijs. At this time, I will open up the public hearing. At this time, is there anyone that would like to speak? If you wish to speak, come forward and put your name for the record. Would anyone like to speak? Would anyone like to speak? Would anyone like to speak? With no comment at this time and no written record, we will close the public hearing and we'll bring it back up here. All right, at this time, we will have a discussion here as a board and looking for a motion to adopt the changes as proposed to the fee schedule for the first portion of 2023.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Matthijs. I just have a question on those boarding fees. If we applied those to, last year of boarding, what would the math look like as far as the difference in the income for boarding prisoners?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Kitchmark, I will defer to Mr. Derringer, Sheriff. He may know this.
I don't have my calculator with me, but basically for general population, it's going to go up almost $20 a day, and so about 50% of our prisoners in the Wright County Jail are boarders. So I think you could probably do the math on that. It would mean some difference. from $100 to $150 for the special needs. Those come with a lot of behavioral issues, mental health issues. So we have the facilities to deal with those people, and so far the staff to deal with those people. And there's just outstate jails that just do not have either of those things. And so obviously it is a drain sometimes on our staff. So that's why they increase for that. But those, we usually have at any given time, we have one or two of those people, but it's not like we have large numbers of those people. So I don't know if you're looking for a maybe percent, just off the top of my head, Commissioner, you're probably looking at maybe a 10% to a 20% increase depending on our border numbers.
Well, thank you. Because every year we talk about it, it comes up, how close to that $2 million per se.
Yep.
And we talk about it at budget time. Should we leave it at that, or are we going to get closer? So I just kind of wonder with this kind of thing, how much closer it would get us. But what's the average prisoner count on a typical day or week that we're boarding?
We're at about 168 this week.
Okay, so then we could implement these increases times 168.
Yeah, well, half of that.
Okay.
Half of those are the borders.
Okay. When do these go into effect then? As soon as today after we adopt, or when does that, like, whether it's refrigerators, prisoners, or dangerous dog fees? Does that happen today, or?
Yeah, we'll update fee schedules as soon as possible, and they go into effect once you adopt, so,
Okay, so then correspondence goes out to all the people bringing
yep.
prisoners here, refrigerators to compost, and the whole thing changes
Yep.
right away.
We will, typically in November, when I do a fee schedule hearing, them are enacted the first day of the new year.
Okay,
But this one's mid-year, so we can act.
And Commissioner Catchmark, what I would do at this point is I would ask that the motion would deem a date that the effective date of these, whether it would be April 1st or the 30th or 25th. So when adopting these fee schedules, I would entertain a motion to adopt a date of action for these.
That'd be great.
yeah,
First of the month would be great.
that's what I'm wondering, for bookkeeping purposes and change the stationery or whatever.
So most of our borders are coming from the 4th District, and I've already put the sheriffs on notice that this was coming, and so most of them are already in the loop, but we would send out a letter to those people that would be affected, letting them know. We'd probably work with administration certainly to come up with the effective date. It doesn't have to be today for us. It could be in 2 weeks from now, starting on, Monday the 27th or the following Monday. It doesn't matter to us, but we
Sheriff,
can send a letter out.
If they made a motion for adopting them April 1st of this year, that'd be
That would
adequate.
be totally fine. That would give us enough time to get the letter drafted. And I just wanted to read, I know it's not part of it, but just to your question, Commissioner, right now, sky's the limit how much we could make in boarding because we have so many jails reaching out to us every single day. Our population, we could fill our jail up of 300 plus if we could hire the staff right now to accommodate it. So really the sky's the limit because there's such a need out there. But as you all know, hiring just isn't there and the applications are kind of a trickle for our jail staff. So it's really just kind of a numbers thing. When that number was set at $2 million a number of years ago, there really wasn't a problem with the staffing and we had that ability to have those numbers. And right now, we're on the verge of closing another pod right now because of staffing. So if that happens, then our revenues are going to go to zero because we'll just kick out all the borders and we'll just maintain our own at that point. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Chair. And I thank the staff for getting this together. I think it's more appropriate before the budget season than after to review fee schedules, because once you have preliminary budget and going toward the final, then we look at fee schedules. It just doesn't seem like the best of timing. So thanks for getting that ahead of budget season. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'd make a motion to adopt that fee schedule with the changes proposed with an effective date of 4/1/23.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Shane. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, can I ask what day of the week 4/1 is?
Monday, oh,
I don't have a calendar in front of me. Saturday. So that wouldn't probably be the best
oh, yeah,
day.
On affected Monday or?
Monday the 3rd
Monday
then.
seems great.
All right, Mr. Chair, I'll amend that effective 4/3/23.
Thank you.
Do we need to be as specific as high noon or midnight or
Only if you want to meet out on the boulevard, take 10 paces.
at the compost?
All right. That's a friendly amendment to both motion makers, correct?
Correct.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Catchmark, second by Commissioner Shane for the adoption of the changes in the fee schedule effective 4/3/23. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The modifications of fee schedule are adopted unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
New agenda section. What is that like an error in there? It is, yes. Okay. I was looking for something in the packet on it, but I thought maybe it was an item for discussion. All
That is
right.
an error, needs to be struck.
No worries. All right. Mr. Detchen isn't here. Are you taking this?
I'm taking that, Mr. Chair, members of the board. On the two ditch items we have here at the 9:40 schedule, the first item is the ditch administrator received a application for a partial abandonment at County Ditch 20 pursuant to Minnesota law, Minnesota statute 103E.806. We're required to schedule a public hearing. Staff is here today to request that public hearing be scheduled for May 16th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m. as part of the regular board meeting.
So with that, I will entertain a motion to schedule that public hearing at 9:30 on May 16th as part of the county board meeting. The Drainage Authority will entertain comments regarding that partial abandonment of County Ditch 20.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Shane. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, the second item today on the ditch agenda is the approval and finding of an order appointing H2 overviewers for the redetermination of benefits in County Ditch 14. Not quite sure when we did it, but it's been quite a while since we did the partial abandonment order on CD 14. Just for the board's recollection or for your information here, most of CD 14 is a protected wetland, and we received a petition for a partial abandonment of all of CD 14 except for that part running underneath the road right away under 10th Street Southeast. So that order was approved, it's accepted, it's been finalized, no appeal was ever done, so we have a final order on file. At this point in time, we're just looking to update the benefit rolls. So just trying to appoint H2 overviewers because we have to go through the process, even though we're fully anticipating, since it's only the road culvert, that the township is going to get 100% of this.
This is going to be a hard redetermination of
I
benefits.
believe it will be. So I'm guessing no one's going to show up to say, add me to the rolls.
All right, with that, I'll look for that motion to approve those findings and orders appointing H2 overviewers to do the updated redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 14, given the partial abandonment.
Mr. Chair, I'll go ahead and make that motion for ditch number 14.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Shane,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? Oh, go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, it is a roll call.
It is a roll call, okay. All right, Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. Motion passes unanimously. All right, Ross has been sitting back there patiently waiting. It's our annual approval with the Greenview contract.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Just wanted to bring forward today our annual contract that we've have with Greenview for park caretaking services at Beebe Lake, Otsego, Clearwater, Bertram, and Fairhaven Mill. We did a little research on this and went into the archives of the park history, and it looks like this has been 25 plus years in the making, and it's a really good service. As my first time working with Greenview over the last year, they provide what I view as a really valuable service, just supervision of a lot of our busier parks. They're in constant contact with the staff. They provide maintenance, cleanup, quite a few things. We rely on them quite heavily throughout the year just to kind of be eyes and ears out there. And it seems to be just, again, in my experience, this is a great deal for the county to be a part of.
All right. So at this time, looking for a motion to approve and authorize the signatures on the 2023 park caretaker agreement with Greenview.
I'll make the
They've been a great partner with us for many years and look to continue that.
I'll make the motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
Second.
second by Commissioner Shane. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Contract approved unanimously. Moving on.
Thank you. The next one would be to approve the recommendations from the Park and Recreation Commission and also the Chain of Lakes Advisory Board for changes to the rules and bylaws and also the joint powers agreement. This has been kind of an ongoing with a couple of commissioners that have been involved with this as well. So we've been kind of in our next phase of Bertram, just with a lot of the program, a lot of development that's happening there. So we're doing a lot more programming and day-to-day description. And so with the large group that we currently have, the advisory board, it's becoming more difficult to get a quorum to make any changes, even to the rules and bylaws. Took a couple months to get to. So this seems to be, we reviewed this several times, and right now we're only down to 2 at-large commission members anyway, so it works. It seems to be a good time to transition to that. And then also with the Wright County Commission and also the City of Monticello City Council, just to provide one person from each one with a kind of a backup to that, seems to be work out well again to help us get a quorum. Then also going through, we modified some of the committees and then also some of the meeting dates. We kind of went back and forth about whether we wanted to scale it down from 6 to 2. And at the last advisory board meeting, they thought we had, believe 4 quarterly would be enough to go through because we still have potential grants and development going on and working through programs and also construction. So that's where those came from.
All right. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendations from the changes to the Bertram Chain of Lake Advisory Board rules and bylaws.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Dietrich,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? No. Thank you, Ross. Or I got a vote here. Moving on too fast.
You're welcome.
All right. Need some more coffee, I guess. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you.
All right, now skipping down here, we're going back to the Ways and Means Committee recommendations. Just give me 1 second while I pull those up. All right, so the Ways and Means Committee met on March 15th with a handful of recommendations. The first recommendation was the fleet vehicles review option of lease versus purchase. The recommendation was to send the program back to lease committee for ensuring the vehicles are correct and to finalize a proposal and to establish department for fuel repairs and parts, as well as revenue lines for both the general government fleet and the sheriff's office fleet. This program, on its onset and its overview, has the potential for great savings to the county over the upcoming years. So we are kind of phased into it, but it also allows us at any point, if we are not able to actualize those savings, that we can sidestep out of it at any point. So
With no penalty.
with no penalty. So it is actually a win-win situation. So
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Thank you. Just, I wasn't at the meeting, but there was a lot of information in the minutes, so I sat down with Administrator Matthijs and went over the figures here, and he doesn't want to be the fleet czar, it doesn't sound like. But we've got the 25,000 built in there potentially that the fleet company would take on a lot of that record keeping, which sounds good to me. You can't hire a staff to do that for anybody for 25,000. The one ask I did have of him, if the board's in agreement, is to take a real deep look to justify the amount of vehicles we have, in particular in the Bat Cave back here, the unattached garage with 44 cars, the passenger cars. But I just wonder if you went out and turned the key on 44, how many wouldn't start because they haven't been ran in 3 months? I don't want to just go by a staff checklist to say we got these, we want to keep this amount. But actually, let's look at some records and say, when have these been driven? Are we actually using them, or are there mice nesting in them? So that's just part of the recommendation, I guess, just to kind of emphasize on how we are going to get to the needed number that we would want to lease.
And Commissioner Catchmark and Ella, Mr. Mattice, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is moving into this fleet management program and this is migration will be able to give us the better oversight and the better understanding of the vehicle utilization. So hopefully we'll be able to have an understanding when new vehicle requests come forward or when we're looking at replacing ones, whether it was necessary or not, because we're going to be moving vehicles around versus having them live departmentally. So we want to make sure that the mileage that are currently on them is being spread out so that we're not just using one vehicle a ton and another one just sitting all the time. So this will give us hopefully that information. And Ms. Tice, Mr. Mattice, am I correct on that? All right, he's giving me the nod. All right. So with that, then the second item on the Ways and Means Committee was a formal garden project program, which would be a memorial garden on the campus here, which was sought after by a number of county employees. And right now we are directing staff to explore private party contributions for the memorial to see if funds can be raised for before bringing forward a formal garden proposal to the board. So at this time, administration is going to work with creating some sort of a portal for contributions to be made, and once funds are raised and there is some seed money for this, that we can bring back a bigger discussion about actual construction of such a garden. So it's mostly informational at this time, but letting the county board know that there's some interest on it, and we're at least exploring it to see if there's enough interest to raise funds to do such work.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. So on the monument, we're looking at potentially chiseling names in there of employees that have worked here but passed away before they retired. And I guess part of the discussion on just the expense of the rock would be the record keeping of how far back we're gonna go for people that would qualify to be on the rock. And then in the future, what that contracting of services and expense would be to continue that in the future. But I did see some figures from Administrator Mattice that amounted to developing basically about a quarter-acre space north of the driveway into the law enforcement center and west of the support services building where this would be slated to go. And the figures were about $55,000 that would have to be general fund, in other words, taxpayer dollars. So if that part is set, then I'm wondering about discussion of that separate from if we get donations for a rock. And I'm not sure how he came up with the quarter acre and the plan there, but he did have the fees of 55,000. And then there was some comments about employees doing the weeding and the gardening there, but with the board allowing people to work from home, I'm wondering how you're gonna pull weeds virtually. Or maybe we have to plant a money tree there to help pay for it, but, so that, it's kind of a two-part thing, but I guess, what do we got for that quarter acre that's set aside in that whole plan?
Commissioner Catchmark, I think it's funny that you had a lot of the same concerns that we had at the Ways and Means Committee. We weren't 100% convinced on it. We wanted to, that's the reason we kind of said, oh, well, let's find out what the interest is, and we felt like the best way was to go out there and see if the money can be raised on it first and foremost. The cost factor on it is just a rough dart at the wall. It could be less, it could be more, depends on the scope that the board wanted. At this point, administration didn't want to put any more effort into it unless there was even an inkling of interest. So at this point, I would say that schematic could be scaled back immensely at the direction of the board. It could be scrapped altogether. A lot of it, we wanted to let the interest of the employees help us frame the scope that the project should be. So the more interested, I feel like that in contributions would be able to tell us what the interest level would be from the employees, and that would give us a good gauge as to what type of effort the board should put into the project itself. The space that's on there is the space just across the entrance from to the LEC over there, over by that pond over there. It's unutilized space anyways at this point, so.
Mr. Chair, I had some conversations with some constituents just to run it past them, and I didn't, well, I'll just say, the best way they put it is that they wouldn't wish any staff time, expense, or taxpayer dollars going into maintaining it. That's where I'll draw the line on that. We know there's some people that think there was plenty spent on the place already, and another idea of 50-some thousand, even if it's already there in unspent landscape fees, is, well, just because we have it, should we really spend it? So I just want to throw out there from a constituent feedback that I got since I became aware of this potential plan. But if we want to, send it forward and see what they come back, that's fine.
And I think those are good directions, because I think that was the thoughts of myself as Commissioner Holland on the committee, was that if we would do this, and there was great interest in it, that it would have to be done in a fashion that the maintenance expenses to it would be linear to the existing area itself for the most part. We have to mow that area anyways, so hopefully that any type of maintenance in that area would be pretty much linear to that of its existing conditions. So whether it's perennial plants, so that we're not doing a lot of planting or anything, and anything above and beyond that we'd have to find a funding source, either through the fund itself or outside of that. But more discussion, but we wanted to get some direction from the board to continue on with this, and gives us a lot of guidance here at this discussion.
Mr. Chair? Yep. Is this in regards just to raising funds at this point for a memorial monument? Not where it's going or how it might look or where it's, that type of thing? Because I think that needs to have more discussion.
Yeah, and at this,
Either in a workshop or at the leadership committee, I think there's some more things in that respect. But I support memorials. I think there's a real, that can be a real purposeful. But how this looks and to what extent, I think needs to be fleshed out more.
yeah, and that's really at this point, the discussion is about thank you, Commissioner Dietrich. This is mostly just about getting the approval for staff to start collecting the funds, and then let the funds kind of dictate and help give guidance to the board on what that actually will look like at the next step, so. All right, moving on to the third item was the review suggested modifications to the data practices. So we've had multiple discussions on that. There was one item that I'd like to insert onto that, was be under the section 2.11, and that would be to add on the very bottom, at the end where it says Governmental Data Practice Act, Minnesota Statute, Chapter 11, and then add, except they are considered to be elected officials for purposes of Minnesota Statute 13.601. If we can get that additional language added in there, then it just kind of keeps us in line with state statutes. That would be great. And I appreciate all the efforts that staff has put into it. They've done a great job. This is a good policy for us to have. I recommend the board support it. The fourth item was the contract rates between the cities and the sheriff's department. We had a good discussion. This is probably one of many discussions that we'll have in the year ahead, as the labor market is been challenging, and we will be having discussions as to how that affects our contracts with our cities. So the recommendation was to review city contracts and school resource officer contract language with the county attorney's office, and to bring contract recommendations to the Ways and Means Committee in May. So we kind of gave some good discussions and some different factors that the board felt that should maybe be taken into consideration. It was a great discussion. I don't know, Sheriff, do you have any kind of pieces of information you want to share about the discussion? But I think we're on a good track, and I think.
Thank you very much for the meeting. I thought Brian and I talked afterwards, and it was very productive. So I appreciate the comments as well, and certainly the support.
Mr. Chair, I have a question just about it being referred to the closed meeting in reference to negotiation and unions. We had a couple commissioners that worked really hard and just finalized a lot of contracts that cover 23, 24, and 25. Can you give a little basis on justifying sending it to closed committee when we have a fresh 3-year contract pending? Are there options to go around or above and beyond those, to rewrite them? Or?
And I don't want to get into too much at this point, because a lot of it is a discussion about whether the situations between our employment matter will get better sooner or later, and wanting to get an understanding of risk tolerance of the board and how that plays into the labor market, and getting a methodology and how we are going to how we are going to go forward from an employment perspective, given these labor changes and how they interact with different factors that we do here at the county. It's hard for me at this point to talk too much.
Well, I'm just asking, because I'm going by what the language was in there, and it just, you know, it says we're going to closed. I know the contract background, but I don't know what the options are.
At this point, I mean, yes, we finalize contracts and understand that the parameters that were set forth in those contracts were established almost 9 months ago. And even in the last 9 months, the labor market has changed immensely. We have to, at least at this point, develop potential contingency plans based on what could happen in the next 9 to 12 months going forward. And this is actually having a discussion in more of a preventative nature in case those situations come to fruition. But at this point, we don't know, but we want to at least give ourselves, give administration some parameters of things that they could do if things do continue under the path that they've been going.
We've also been working with Administrator Sean Johnson, or HR Director Sean Johnson, for a cadet program. And if the board, we've been doing some out-of-the-box thinking and working through administration with the process. So if the board would go along with that recommendation, that would also equate to an MOU, a new MOU with the current deputy association. Therefore, that's why we discussed that it could be a closed session.
So there's multiple facets in that discussion, so we just wanted to, I guess at this point, I couldn't elaborate anymore, hence the reason it's closed, so.
Well, thank you. We got to have a little basis on a recommendation to go
But I hope
forward.
that gives you at least a little bit of an
Well,
idea.
yeah, I'll trust that you're giving me what you can give me without getting hauled into Judge Judy or whatever, but that's okay.
All right, with that, I'll stand for a motion to approve the Ways and Means Committee's recommendations.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion by Commissioner Holland,
Second.
second by Commissioner Dietrich. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we'll move on to advisory committee updates.
Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if we could schedule that closed session now, just to get that out of the way and on the schedule.
Oh, sure, good call.
And chatting with the sheriff, I think a date that would work good for at least the staff side would be the afternoon of April 4th. I know we have a board meeting that morning and a leadership following. If we want to take time for a lunch break and then come back at some point in the afternoon, I think that would work.
That works for me. Then I'll entertain a motion to set a committee of the whole closed session for April 4th at 10 a.m. I'm sorry, 1 p.m., I'm sorry, 1 p.m. We could maybe make 10 a.m. work, but it would be a very short meeting and we'd have to get our county board meeting done efficiently. 1 p.m. Looking for a motion? No, I
Yes.
can't make
Oh,
motion.
yeah.
I'll go ahead and make that
Yeah,
motion.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was so busy writing.
That's all right.
Second.
And Commissioner, is motion by Commissioner Shane, second by Commissioner Dietrich to have a committee of the whole closed session on April 4th at 1 p.m. All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. All right, advisory board updates. I'll turn over to you, Administrator Kelly. Do you have anything you'd like to share to kick it off?
Just a couple maybe notes. Reminder, we do have our joint meeting with Soil and Water this Thursday morning if you're able to attend. Always look forward to that one. Trying to stay on top of the various legislative items that are going through. Things change on a daily basis, so it's good to try and keep track of those, and meeting with AMC. I know the administrator's executive committee meets this Friday, and we always get an update there, so that's always appreciated. So outside of that, nothing to update at this time, I don't feel.
Commissioner Ketchmark?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attended Woodland, Stockholm, Middleville, and Victor Township meetings in the last week. One of the questions that was thrown out there was if we're continuing to look at evening meetings. And I shared that some of us are looking at them more than others. And then we went to the mayor's meeting and we all attended and gave State of the County addresses ×5. That was good to get together. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
I was not in the last meeting to give my update on the I-90 or the transportation down at the Capitol. So I was down there, met with Chair Hornstein, met with the other committee members, and just moving forward on our, making sure they know our transportation issues out here with the continuation of I-94 and 55. And yeah, so we'll just keep working towards that direction.
So myself and Commissioner Shane had a very robust discussion about NEMT transportation, non-emergency medical transportation at the Trailblazer. I think the discussion went on for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
More conversations that will be coming forward on that. A lot of it comes down to there's a push at the state from the MnDOT perspective and trying to get 5311, which is publicly funded rural transit funding, to push DHS funded rides into using public transit. Now, they're trying to do it from the ground up instead of actually trying to just blanketly put a policy of the state that would force that to happen. Instead, they're just trying to organically migrate these rides from Health and Human Services to these rural transit systems. And it's very challenging to do it this way. It's easier if, you know what, if the state said that, you know what, DHS, you have to use, when applicable, 5311 rides, then there's no discussion on it. But right now, when you're going to try and migrate rides and create a program to do it, because right now you have to find a way to get your MnDOT funded rides and be able to get credit for that DHS ride in the DHS system, and it doesn't really plug and play together. So we have to put a lot of money into trying to find ways to code our publicly transit rides, which are basically, how would you call it? It's a lot of it's a coding into the DHS system and being able to say that, yep, we want this $4 for this ride to go to Trailblazer versus your other privatized transportation system. So right now, like Wright County, we contract with a company called MTM that manages all of our non-emergency medical transportation rides. And basically, at this, we're kind of hands-off into it, and they do the billing to the state. And with this possible change, it could lead to us actually having to do the individualized billing here. And it also is the chance that otherwise Trailblazer would end up doing that individualized billing. And in my opinion, I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze. There isn't that many of those rides out there for us to migrate this service in-house and have to take on all that labor. I think at this point, we'd end up, what we save in the transportation costs, we'll end up spending in administrative costs. So
And Mr. Chair, let's just add to that, that our, just like every other industry is having a hard time hiring drivers, getting the buses that we need to utilize. So, you know, that's just adding to the issue.
because we have what, 14?
14 in line to be coming, but we're on hold. So we're hoping to maybe even get 2 this year by August, maybe possibly.
Our bus utilization is really high. Labor challenges are high. So to me, it's like, okay, why would we want to migrate more rides when we already have enough issues in getting the existing customer base and the future customer base that wants to get rides? We're having enough managing that. I don't want to migrate things into that. It doesn't, especially when there isn't an obvious savings to it. So,
Sounds messy.
yes. Commissioner Holland?
Went to Albertville, meeting last night, went to Otsego. I should have told Virgil too. Otsego, they had reported that on the really icy weekend, 2 weekends ago, that all the signs, there was many signs down because of the ice, and the deputy said that that's one good thing about all the roundabouts in Otsego, because they ended up in the ditch and not head-on crashes. So, but they have a big development going on, considering a big development along the river in Otsego, and Albertville's looking at some sewage, a sewer system, and of course another light. But other than that, things are going well, and I do have a form for you guys from the Central Minnesota Council on Aging as to what Wright County has been, how we utilized the services this past year for all of our seniors. Other than that, many other things, but Tina?
Awesome. Had a nice interview on KRWC last week. I'll just start with that. That was really fun. I went over there and had a nice visit. So I also attended the Safe Communities meeting and talked about just some of the things coming up with prom, and they do mock crash or the mock car. They're just kind of being aware of safety on the roads. Also attended Safe Schools in Annandale, and we talked about, they had hosted a symposium on substance abuse for both the kids and parents and had speakers. And that, you know, it tables out for all of the above activities, and didn't have a real big turnout, but I think weather had a lot to do with it too. So, but that's the second time they've hosted it, and so that was, I'm hoping they continue with that. It has a lot of resources. I went last year, and it was really lots of information and knowing what's out there. And one thing we did share at both the mayors and at the Safe Schools is that the Opioid Settlement Committee, the grant application will be opening middle of April through the end of May, and that will be for funds to address treatment and recovery, prevention, criminal justice, and harm reduction, and all the kind of facets of that. So just to get that awareness out, that'll be available, and to get some applications in here so these funds can be used worthwhile.
Commissioner, what day was that? Did you have that as the applications were open?
I don't exactly
April?
have the exacts, but it's like April 13th through May 26th. Those are, I think that those are right.
Okay, thank you.
So, is there any other business that come before the board? Appears nothing. All right. If there's no other business, we will close the board meeting here and adjourn at 10:12.